What's up, everybody? Welcome to another State of the Empire episode with Dallas Empire head coach Rambo Ray. Oh my God, that's a lot of words in one sentence, but let's do this. It's late. Well, late. It's 10:30, but I'm an old man, so I got to go to bed. It's way past my bedtime. Tomorrow is the Minnesota CDL event, our first event competing in 7 weeks. That is a long time. Feels like it's been forever, but yeah. The guys are super excited. I'm super excited to see the guys compete this weekend and see what we can do. If we can win, it will be back-to-back events for us. But if we can kind of come out and show that what we got is still the best in the league. So I'm excited for tomorrow and the whole weekend, and also the following weekend, because we get to compete back-to-back weekends because of the Minnesota event being pushed back one weekend and the following event not being moved. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting kind of like 7 to 9 days for us. We got a lot going on. We've been practicing. Our scrimmage schedule has been increasing for the last week and a half to try and come and be prepared as much as possible for this event. It's always weird. Like, the one thing I'll say is it's always weird not competing for a while, because there's a certain element of practice that you don't get unless you compete. It's kind of crazy to say, but like you can only prepare so much for a tournament unless you play tournaments. I don't know. It's interesting to say, and I'm not saying anything like the team's looking good. We're looking great. I really hope that things kind of pan out for us in the tournament and we kind of show up with what we've been practicing with, and hopefully things go our way. And that'd be exciting for us to win again. Obviously, we're trying to win every single possible event that we compete in, so I'm looking forward to it. For today's video, I decided to accumulate some questions. I posted a Twitter post like 10 minutes ago, accumulated like 7 or 8 questions from people in the community, some light and some pretty heavy, actually. So I'm actually intrigued to see what we can come up and respond with. But this is a one-take video, so we'll see what happens. All right, so let's bear along with my my tired brain here as we kind of go through this. All right, let's start. Poopaboo, Twitter name, Poopaboo. Yes, Poopaboo's the man. What's been the funniest moment with the team so far? I would for sure have to say the team dinner in LA after we won the tournament. That was my kind of, I didn't, so just so people have an understanding, right? I knew Krim and Clay a lot because I competed against them. We hung out at tournaments. I even teamed with Clay for a short period of time. So I know those guys. Like, we've been around each other for a while. Granted, like the last 5 years I haven't been around that much, but I'm very familiar with those guys. I very rarely have spoken to Hugh, if at all, and I didn't know Shotzi or Illy until I started working with the guys, which was like a week and a half before the LA event. So like the LA event was really my first kind of time interacting with the guys, and it was the end of the weekend, so it's when we first started kind of getting comfortable with each other and whatnot. And we went to that dinner, and I showed, I think it was Illy's first time having steak, so we went to a steakhouse. So it was just a blast. It was so funny to see like the experiences, new experiences that just some of those guys were having, and trying new foods and whatnot. So I'd say that's probably been the funniest moment as a team so far.
You gotta let him learn, man.
Oh man, I don't think I've ever met.
We've been getting him a lot of firsts since we brought him to the States.
There you go. Hey.
Hold it from the inside.
Beyond playing the Golf with Friends video, I don't know if you guys watched that or not, but we released a Golf with Friends video. I was part of the following game, so the one we posted I wasn't in it, but that was pretty funny too. But yeah, definitely hanging with the guys for the first time. They're super fun. Obviously, our team chemistry as far as outside the game is very high, and it's great, honestly. Plaingis asks, what's been the best improvement with the team so far? I'm assuming you're asking what's been the best improvement since I joined. And the one thing I will say is most improved, even though it may seem not as a big element to improve on, but communication, and I'll kind of slash that with small talk. And that's not necessarily like a team improvement. That's more of like everyone individually really kind of getting there, or at least for the players that weren't there or needed to where they needed to be before those improvements happen. And that's huge, man. Like, for those who don't really, you always hear communications. You hear like the Astro listeners and whatnot while they're playing the events during the CDL competition. And you hear the communications. It's just, in retrospect, like, it's such a short period of time. Like, you hear some comms, but like the comms that really matter at the end of the day are the ones where players are discussing with their teammates what they are doing and what they need their teammates to be doing with them. Not the obvious callouts where like there's a guy top blue because he's shooting top blue, or I got killed from there, the dead callouts and whatnot. Although those are important, those are not the vital elements of what make a team good on teamwork. If I was just to, like, let's say we just literally have a team, let's say I put 4 players with me to play a match, and all we do is call out just dead callouts or just what we see on the mini map, and we don't actually communicate where we're trying to go or what we're doing or what I need to be looked at or you got my back, so on and so forth, we'd have a really hard time being kind of cohesive as a team. And that's one thing that are like at a pro level, like you don't necessarily need that much of it because some of it's kind of obvious and a lot of the routes and things that players do are kind of ingrained in their brains, like they know what they should be doing, but still some of it's not always obvious, and it's really helpful to have players kind of communicate those things. So I'd say that's probably the biggest improvement, and that's one of the reasons why, in my opinion, we've been so successful and so consistent so far since we won our first event. Sally's a dog said, asks, do you think it's misguided to rally behind the cry of build an empire? I don't think so at all, man. Like, I think people need to not look at it too deep. Like, it sounds like build an empire. Oh, wow, there's the empire. But, I mean, that's our team name. It sounds cool, and it's almost like I see it as like build a dynasty, like build something great for our organization and for our fans and for our players. To really kind of have something rally around, and I think that's a cool cry, cool rally cry, I guess you can call it. I hope that answered your question. Scott J 1988 asks, as a coach, how much preparation do you personally put in before an event, like the night before or day of? Preparation for a coach, at least on my state, starts way before the event. I don't want to say too much here. I feel like I probably shouldn't answer this question. You know, we don't want to give our secrets of the trade, you know. But yeah, no, just know that there's a lot going on what I'm doing to help the team be as guided as possible going into a match, into a tournament. Most of it really is kind of like on our end, really making sure that the team is prepared for whatever we may face, and make sure that we're fine-tuned to where we're doing the right things around the map on each map and mode. And so that when we get into an event, we can react to what's happening as easily as possible, no matter what the team we play. All right, next question said, Bro Bees asks, who do you think is an underrated team or a team everyone is sleeping on heading into the event? I think, wait, one sec. Let me double check. I'm sure there's one or two, but all right. I would say, Toronto. Toronto was probably the biggest sleeper in the tournament. And I feel like Toronto's been a sleeper for a long time now. I feel like the last event, they should have performed better than they did. I think in my opinion, they underperformed based on what they were playing against in scrims. But I feel like Toronto's been kind of a good team for most of the year. They just can't seem to show up and really kind of prove it out at tournaments. Same can be said probably for New York. Like, New York's been a really strong team. I would say ever since like maybe after the LA event, I feel like they've been one of the better teams that we scrim against, and they just really haven't been able to kind of turning it into big results at tournaments. They seem to just lose out to teams that, the bigger teams, right? So it's like, but I'd say Toronto this event is probably the dark horse per se, like a team that people probably aren't expecting to kind of win, but could come out and show fire and have a good chance to make a run into the bracket. Belger Drew, Jesus. Sorry guys, I'm a little tired here. Belger Drew. All right, I think I did that okay. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, buddy. What's the one team you have the most fun facing during competition? For sure, Faze. We want to I as a coach and us as a team want to beat the best team out there, and so far this year it seems like it's been Faze and the Huntsmen. So, given like our kind of back and forth with most of those teams, like obviously Faze and Huntsmen are probably an equal level, but just because Faze has kind of been the team to put us down more often than not as of late, at least in our last few tournaments, I'd say Faze for sure is the team we have the most fun facing against, because it's always a good battle, and that's what you like seeing, right? You want to see the highest level of the competition, really, which team can come out on top. G the Maniac says, will the GOAT Big Brain Rambo ever come out of retirement? Oof. Well, G the Maniac, I never officially retired. I was talking about this the other day. I never actually officially retired. So who knows? Maybe I'll be a substitute in years to come, and maybe I'll see some light in some matches. But the pace of the games, like, that's one thing that I found interesting thinking about those things, is when I competed, things were a lot slower. Like the games were more methodical. Players had like more, not necessarily more time to think, but the impact you had on a game and outthinking yourself out of certain situations, and like from a strategic standpoint, was way more useful, I'd say, than it is now. You can only go so far with a brain these days. I mean, a brain helps. Like, don't get me wrong, you want to make the right decisions all the times, but like back when I competed, like you could basically avoid having a great shot and still be able to compete at the highest level if you had really a smart way of kind of playing the game. I'd say these days it's very hard to kind of have that play style. You really need to be able to shoot your way and play at a very extremely fast level, which is, I mean, there's so many gunfights, there's so many engagements in the game now. So my breed of kind of play style has been dying. So if that were to change and with the games coming in the coming years, maybe being a little slower pace, who knows? Maybe I could see some light of being a substitute and seeing some daylight in some challenger tournaments. I don't know. Who knows? But it would be fun. I mean, I still like the element of competing. I think what really killed it for me on a playing standpoint was just kind of like the prolonged hours of practice and not always seeing eye to eye with your teammates, and that made things kind of difficult for me at the end of my career. So, but yeah, 2 more questions. The Draxman asks, How accountable do you hold yourself on things within the team, whether it be gameplay, comms, performance, etc.? My light's flickering. That's not good. It's an interesting question, actually. I never really thought of that one. I mean, one thing, it's kind of like answering a question without answering. I find watching my team compete more stressful than actually competing when I used to compete. I feel like I'm part of this team. And it's to a point where, like, yeah, sure, I'm not really accountable on the sense of like, oh my God, I did so bad to get my team prepared. I feel like I'm doing the best I can to prepare my team, given the circumstances that we have to practice and get everyone on the same page. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one to answer. I'd say for sure, like comms and making sure like preparation, like that we have the right mindset going into a tournament as far as like what we're trying to achieve on the map. I hold myself accountable to that, but it's kind of hard to hold myself accountable for like how the players are playing or how they're performing. Like that's kind of difficult to see myself kind of feeling for that part of it. I don't know if that answered your question. Hopefully it did. One more. F7 Fusion asks, what words of advice do you have for aspiring pro COD players trying to make it into franchise league? This is probably like the $1 million question right now, honestly. And in retrospect, things are so different now than when I competed, right? Like when I played, it was so much more, I mean, easier is probably, sure, it was easier because it was more open. If you're just good enough, you could kind of show up to a tournament and just outright win the tournament. If your team was good enough, you didn't need to be known, or you didn't really have to kind of have the element of like, I don't know, like the money behind you to get a team in a pro league and so on and so forth, right? Like my team had $250. We go in an open bracket MLG event and boom, we win the tournament. Like, look at that. We made it big time. We're pros now. So yeah, it's definitely harder these days. One thing that I've always been advocate about, and this is still the case in my opinion, it might be changing at some point, who knows, but professional gaming in any esport to me is like professional sports, as far as like, if you're aspiring to be a professional at something, you play the game. Like, for example, if I'm a kid, I want to be a pro baseball player. Like, I'm going to play baseball with my buddies and we're going to play in a league at school and so on and so forth. And then who knows, maybe it'll lead to a professional career someday, but I'm not necessarily pushing for it to like the extent of the term, right? I'm not like, this is my plan A. This is what I'm doing. Like, there's no other possibility in my life besides me being a pro ball player. And I'd say it's the same for video games. Like, you got to feel it out. You got to go play these online tournaments. You got to show your face as much as you can. Go to the LAN events if you have the money to do so, if it's close by. Even if you don't have like a team you really like, just go experience it and see if you have what it takes on a personal level, and then also on a team level at some point if you can find the right players to team with, and really to see if you can make a name for yourself and make it out. Like, it's definitely hard right now to make it to the pro level. And who knows, if the league expands and there's more teams, there'll be more opportunities for new players to come out. But as of right now, I'd say it's very difficult. But again, the best piece of advice I have there, which is really kind of make sure that you're not making the pro gaming stuff your A plan, but really every time you get on the game, make sure you're getting on to learn and really kind of get better at it. Never feel like you're just getting on to have, like, this sounds stupid, but never get on to just have fun. Like, having fun is part of it. Like, it should be inherent. You're playing video games. It's fun. But the amount of kind of I guess focus and really kind of drive you need to have to really get better on a moment-to-moment basis, and not wasting a second of it is really kind of what's going to help you drive yourself to the top of that kind of amateur scene and grow to a next level to where you can actually be recognized by a professional team as a player who could play at that level. There's been a few this year from the contenders leagues that have gotten contracts by teams and are playing on teams right now. Not necessarily super successful ones, but some are kind of getting there and kind of proving a name for themselves. Like Mac is probably like the one name that I'd say that's been doing the most successful and has brought a lot to a team that came from the amateur scene. So that's kind of the basis of it. Again, it's not easy, and it's there's no guarantee. Like technically, you could be like one of the best players in the world right now and not be in the pro league, and it's just because you didn't get like the right opportunities to play yourself at the top. But if you kind of push for it and you kind of put your name out there as much as you can, put yourself out there as much as you can in tournaments, anything can happen if you're good enough for it, obviously. But yeah, that's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I apologize for butchered names and kind of mumbling in my mouth, mumbling on my words a little bit. I'm a tired human being right now. But I really want to do this video tonight for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this and appreciate all the support you guys have given us. And through the weekend, hopefully we can show you guys that we're still a team to be reckoned with, and we can show up and take another tournament win for you guys. All right. Have a good night, guys. Peace. Or I guess it's going to be afternoon tomorrow. Whatever. Later.